Welcome back. Let's come down to Lagos State, where a new land use law promulgated by the state government has been causing so much controversy in the southwestern state. The law, enacted in 2001, provides for an upward review every 5 years. However, the state government had not carried out any review of the law up until 2017, when it was reviewed by the current administration. The law states, among others, that owners or occupiers of lease are liable to pay the land use charge. The law also identifies both occupiers of leases of less than 10 years and occupiers of leases of 10 years or more as liable to pay land use charge. Now, the review brought up an increase in charges by up to 400% in some cases. Residents of the city are far from happy with the new law and have been calling for its suspension. Lawyers in the state, under the auspices of the Ikeja branch of the Nigerian Bar Association, in collaboration with various civil society groups, have been spearheading the campaign to get the government to reverse the law. Last Tuesday, they staged a protest march now around the city to press home their demand. Now, barely 48 hours after the protest, the Lagos state government seemingly bowed to the pressure. At a press briefing at Government House in Lagos, the State Commissioner for Finance, Akiyemi Ashade, announced a reduction in some of the charges. Take a listen to what the Commissioner said.
I'm happy to announce that Lagos State Government has reduced the land use charge. The Lagos State Executive Council, chaired by His Excellency, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, therefore resolved as follows. 1. Commercial property. Commercial property owners, who are undoubtedly the stakeholders mostly impacted by this amended law, will be granted 50% discounts. This means a commercial property valued at 20 million naira, which was earlier billed to pay 91,200 naira per annum, will now pay 45,600 naira per annum. 2. Property occupied by owner and third party, and property used for industrial and manufacturing purposes. These categories of property will now enjoy 25% discounts. This means that a 20 million property expected to pay 30,720 naira will now pay 23,040 naira per annum. Owner-occupied property. This category of property will enjoy 15% discount. For a 20 million naira property, this used to be 9,120 naira. Now it is 7,752 naira per annum. Number 4, the penalty regime for late payment of LUC has been waived completely. Therefore, LUC payers who have received their bills will no longer be penalized for late payment of bills issued in 2018, thereby providing additional relief for LUC payers. Number 5, other rates and reliefs, apart from the ones stated above, will remain unchanged and will be implemented as stipulated by the law. These include 40% general relief, 10% for 70 years and above, 10% for properties owned by persons living with disability, and 10% for properties that are 25 years old, and so on and so forth. 6. Owners of property across all categories will now be allowed to make payments by installments. This will help to reduce the burden of taxation on our citizens.
Well, that's the Commissioner of Finance for Lagos State, Yemi Ashade, and of course he did talk about meeting with some stakeholders, and one of the stakeholders mentioned Nigerian Bar Association, and of course, as you know, that group actually carried out a massive protest now against the land use charge law, demanding the review of the law. And joining me right here on the program, I have the chairman of the Ikeja branch of the Nigerian Bar Association, Adeshina Ogunlana, and I also have Libros Oshoma, who's a lawyer and a political analyst. Let me start with you, Mr. Ogunlana. You listened to the commissioner. He mentioned the MBA as part of the stakeholders. Would this, what he read now, is it part of the agreement you reached?
Well, thank you so much, DEJI, for your question. I was never part of that meeting. Yes, there was a meeting with the MBA, and I should like to think that the MBA mentioned will be MBA branches in Lagos State. The branches of the MBA in Lagos State are 5: Ikorodu, Badagry, Ekpe, Lagos, and Ikeja. The convener of that particular meeting happened to be, to the best of my knowledge, the Attorney General. And the impression that was given in the letter...
Were you at that meeting?
I was not. I was never at that meeting.
So the Ikeja branch was not represented at
It was not represented there officially. Some people were there, Daily Addition, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Lekan Yusuf, Senior Advocate of Nigeria.
Members of the
they are members, but they did not have
the
mandate of that branch to be there. I believe they were invited at the level of their personality. You understand? And we were not there for 2 important reasons. They noticed, because when you say MBA protested, the MBA that protested is singular. That is the Tiger Bar, the Nigerian Bar Association, Ikeja branch, not Lagos, not Ekpe, not Badagry and everything. And if the leadership, no matter, like I said before, no matter the eminence of the members that attended that particular meeting, they do not represent the leadership of the MBA. I am the official and actual leader of the MBA Ikeja. I was the one that led the troops out, not Daily Addition, for example, not Femi Falana, for example, not Lekan Yusuf, for example, with due respect to the eminence. I say it standing accessibly. They are not the leaders of MBA Ikeja. And so if the government goes out and says they had meetings with MBA, it is not with the protesting part of the MBA. So I understand from what I could glimpse from the meeting that all the other branches supported our action and condemned the government and instances and everything. But it's just part of the fraud. And I use that word most advisedly. You see, they call it as spinning yarn, spin doctors and everything. You know, when you mix truth with a lot of lies, some truths, and package it and present it to the unwary. I was never part, none of my ESCO was there, and none of our elders who went there informed me prior, had a meeting with me and had my blessing.
And did they get back to you after the meeting?
It was only one of them, Femi Falana, that got back to me and spoke with me and all that and all that. But if I were there, I should like to tell you that my position as directed by the meeting of the MBA will have been different. And so all what has been announced is not acceptable to the MBA Ikeja. If you allow me, I'll give you reasons.
Yeah. So what exactly, you're not satisfied with what was announced?
Yes.
Is that not what the MBA actually demanded? Because you demanded a review, and they've done the review.
No, what actually we demanded is first, not what they have done what they want to do. You see, they call it Boju Boju in Yoruba. And what we demanded, first, I said, suspend the application of that law. Suspend it, and let's now discuss, because there's a lot of economic fraud and mathematics propaganda thrown into it.
Too many percentages.
You know, let me say something, sir. It's like what they have done now, people are clapping. When people that are clapping for them in their own wisdom. Probably they have been gobsmacked and they didn't know that. It's like you go to a supermarket that ordinarily this piece of glass should have cost maybe $100 ordinarily. You now sell it at an elite price of $300. When Christmas is now coming or Easter, you now say 40% reduction is now $225. Is he cheating? It's the informed buyer that knows that this thing shouldn't have been more than $80. So that they are clapping. The question you have to ask yourself really is, how do you come about the pricing, not to talk about the percentages? And that goes again to the issue, and which is fundamental to my branch, aside constitutionality and legality, whether this government understands the rubrics and fundamental of democracy. That's what jurisprudentially is very important. This government is behaving like a benevolent, apart from having a monopoly, posing to have a monopoly of wisdom, economic wisdom, financial wizardry. They are now acting like a benevolent dictator. See now, you people, you shouted, though, we have now reduced, and we're supposed to be clapping for you. Fundamentally, a Democrat does not act like that. And if now it should surprise anybody that people who are not saying they cut 50%, cut whatever percent, if you know the vigor with which they were defending their completely defensible position, and for what the gentleman has read out now, I can't tell you that a fellow who has been charged, who was paying 140,000 naira before, and charged 2 million, which I know from this calculation.
So from the calculation, if you do it, if the person was charged 2 million, so
he's going to pay 1.750 or 1 million, 1.5 million. What's the difference between 6 and 7? It's fraud. It's unacceptable in my branch of the MBA that I lead.
Liberals, let me get your take on this, because really, I mean, what has been mentioned so far is just percentages, and somehow you get the impression that it's convenient to use 20 million now to do the calculation, just like the commissioner did. They're using 20 million to do the calculation. So it's just about percentages, and those percentages could just mean a lot.
First and foremost, without sounding or trying to sound patronizing, I must give kudos to my learned friend here, the chairman of MBA Ikeja branch. We used to call him Leonard Squib. For the effort and the strength put in so far. For a lot of people would have caved in with all the pressures. You know Lagos State government very well, you know. But they have, he's consistently led the fight and maintained the position. And I must say kudos to him and the team. And then also, like he has said, it's very simple. You now begin, at this 20 million recurring yardstick for calculating. You say in the speech, they said they will avail you the parameters for valuing. We all do land transactions with Lagos State government. They tell you, they have their own assessments. They have their own way of valuing properties. Even for survey. Recently, Lagos State government arbitrarily increased price of survey. So in areas around the mainland where you used to pay between 120 and 150, you now have to pay 400,000, 600,000. Around the island, you pay between 800, 900 or 1 million naira for just, survey. You ask yourself, what are the parameters for assessing this? It's left to them and them alone. When they are giving you the examples, you use the barest. Even with the calculation they came out with initially, with the value of, initially, we say a property value for 20 million, what you are to pay. It wasn't until people corrected that impression that it wasn't 50-something thousand, that it was 90-something that they adjusted. And so you now ask yourself, how do you value a property? How many properties in Lagos, even on the mainland, do they on their own at the land registry value at 20 million? That's the first question. And so talking about this assessment,
that's very critical.
Yes, how many properties, even the ones that they built, the Lagos State government built houses, 3-bedroom flats in some of these areas, Okoko, Mushi and the rest, how much are they selling per flat? Not to talk of a plot of land now, you're talking about 20 million. So all of these mathematics are there for people to see. And then you ask another question. Why is it that the previous government, you think they were stupid not to have adjusted that law or amended the law upward or a review of the rate? They had their reason for not doing so because they knew the hardship the people were going through. They knew all the multiple taxes that people were paying that you don't look at taxes, in spite of the fact that everybody is almost a local government of its own. You look for OPC to provide security for you, or you hire private security guard, you contribute money to do your roads, you build your own boreholes, and now they want to also tax you
the boreholes.
For the boreholes, and then in some of the roads you pay toll, so putting together, and then you now sit down to say a lot of people don't pay taxes in Lagos, and so for that, those that dare to pay, you want to, further compound their woes. And you without asking yourself, why is it enough to just have a lot of people in the tax net without actually assessing if they are taxable? And if they are not taxable, why are they not taxable? How do we ensure that we provide opportunities, employment for them so that they can be taxable? And those that are not paying, there's this disconnect, this mutual suspicion between those governed and the governed. And so there's this belief that, look, people who also are in government, the way they use government resources, there is no trust for you to want to further entrust more. You know. And then lastly, so that I yield the floor for my colleague, if these people that are reading out these informations down and clapping, if they were not in government, would they have swallowed this bitter pill? Would it not have been exigent to suspend the implementation of the law and now do a wider consultation? Use 1 year to consult and then have a robust approach to it that will be all-encompassing. So what's the hurry about?
The question is, do you want to use 1 year to consult? The government still has to raise a revenue anyway. I'm talking about tax. So the government might consider that a very difficult approach to suspend, not to do anything, use 1 year to consult, don't raise revenue. But
no, suspending does not mean that you are not raising revenue, because you have the old law. You can revert back to the old law. You're collecting revenue.
Okay, I see. But the crucial thing here is the valuation of a property, because it's just easy to talk about percentages. If you say you're cutting down by 50%, but the key thing is how much are you valuing a property? So that's the crucial thing.
Yes, it's crucial. As crucial as it is, it's still standing on a particular mindset. If you are not a Democrat, you will not consider it crucial. You are King Solomon. You are Pharaoh.
They are all knowing.
So you are all knowing. You are omniscient, and you are a patron. You know how to govern. You are ever trained. You are supported by a class of business captains and all that. And that to me and my branch is quite the problem. The ruling party in Lagos has grown complacent, arrogant, supercilious, and in the face of a vanished, self-disarrayed opposition, can imagine to come with this spurious and highly insulting law in the first instance, and then the equally highly insulting and gratuitous so-called panacea, which is not a panacea but a fraud, a big fraud. Now, to go back to your own economic perspective, you see, value is what anything you attach to it, this glass, but under some weird situation, you may say this water is something there and then it's now 10 million now. People will buy it and all that kind of thing. But you can do that if it were your property. If you are the author, you can do it, you can place a price on it. Lagos State does not belong to Ambody, does not belong to APC. It's a servant of the people. And there are people who used to make a mistake and say government has done this, government has done good. The government that is doing it is put in there by our people, by the voters. And so when you want to do things and you are respectful enough and you are cognate enough of the rubrics of democracy, you say, really, let me take the understanding of what my masters really understand. Like you said, if you can reason like this, he can reason, I can reason like that, obviously it should occur to them too that I can't just drop a figure from heaven, like he said, and I was informed by an architect that there is no way that you can value a house without taking some steps. You can't begin to use like they did, this Google map. You look at the outside of this kind of a building, and you say, they're behaving like primitive market women. When you want to go, now as you are dressed like this, if you go and buy fish, you'll find out that they'll just look at this man. The way you look at this man is a rich man. Look at the quality of his glasses. So let's sell this fish tuna for so much. So this is what these people have done. They can pay now. You don't know the circumstances of the person. In fact, there are some houses, when you go in or some hotels, you'll be shocked that so fine inside. But when you look at the outside, it looks so paltry and all that. So if you are a valuer, you are buying, you will be sensible to go. You don't buy the book by the poke, you pick it, or a book by the cover. And anybody, if there's been a serious valuation exercise in Lagos, people will know now. You can't do valuation ghostly. So their legislation is a ghost legislation. So the valuation is critical, like he said. And when you look at Lagos that is so wide like this, and suddenly you just have this law, they get to one proposal for something trillion and has to found it and suddenly brings this law, you know, smart Harvard-trained people, we know this thing, and Lagos people, they are docile people. They never expected this level of resistance. And I can assure the Lagos State political class that the days of leaving politics, economics, and the sociology of this terrain to them is over. That is the challenge and demand of democracy. You must have to be alert. If you leave the rulers, we contribute to the tyranny.
So what is the NBA going to do going forward?
We are having an emergency meeting on Monday. The NBA that I know is NBA Ikeja that I know. NBA Ikeja is having an emergency meeting. All of us have been laughing. We have been getting feedback from our allies, NGOs, civil society, all well-meaning Nigerians, even landlord association. I know that struggle with it. And at this point, let me pause to thank our allies. People have been mentioning NLC, JF, and all that. Do you know that there are mechanics with us? Technicians, they will overall just come and say, sir, we just want to identify with you. When we finished their protest and we were streaming away, I saw one man, he was just walking, an old man, about 65. He just came on his own. We didn't know, apparently he's a dissatisfied Nigerian, and he was just going, and we were so touched. We went over to him, we cried, thank you, sir, for supporting us. Again is the issue of democracy. What Akiwumi Ambode has demonstrated is the usual tradition of impunity.
Just very briefly now, before I close this session, because we're far out of time. Going forward now, what do you think would be the best way to resolve this?
It's simple. Democracy is about the people. Without the people, there is no governance. There's no government in this democratic dispensation, except you say you're operating a democratic dictatorship. And that is antithetical to democracy. They are like Professor Ashburnham's Fluvian metaphor. They don't meddle their waters. And so, in this case, now that the people are saying, look, we don't need you to be benevolent.
No.
What we need you is to understand what democracy is about and how it runs. So what would be the best thing to do is to say, let's revert, like we say in court, revert to the status quo ante, the position before the war, so that we will sit down and look at all the issues holistically. You know, 1 year, like I suggested, might be too much.
3 months.
But, you know, but still be collecting the old rate. This mad drive to, we want to quickly collect this new one. Suspend it. It's suspicious. You know, suspend it. Elections is around the corner. Forget the fact that you don't have opposition in Lagos because some people, their greed, you know, have put us where we are. But remember that if the people decide to rise against you, even the fact that you don't have opposition will not even save you. Yes. So you might find yourself on the other side. You know, so the best thing to do, like they say, vox populi, vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God. So listen to the voice of the people who are telling you that, look, this is too much on us. So suspend it, do this wider consultation, find out what is applicable, what is acceptable to the people. And at the end of the day, you'll be happier that you did. Otherwise, if you continue like this, you will be gradually moving through self-destruction. And when you prepare a recipe for chaos, you might not even, you know, be around when it starts.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program and for sharing your thoughts. And let's just see what happens going forward. Well, that's it on the program. Well, thank you very much for watching. But if you want to watch it again, it's simple. Just go to our website. It's www.tv360nigeria.com. You'll find this program and lots more there. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/TV360Nigeria. And, of course, you can also follow us on Facebook. Find us on Facebook. The address is facebook.com, of course, /TV360 online. On Twitter, it's at TV360 Nigeria. And, of course, you can follow us on Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. Well, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next week.